Hey, Gaybros Blake.
Hey, Gaybros Jose.
Where are we today?
We are wandering the streets of San Francisco looking for a quiet bar on a Friday night at 10 p.m.
I have to say that it's like if someone were to ask me what is the most representative dive bar in the whole country, I would say the streets of San Francisco, where you can see like just people peeing and puking on the street.
They also serve better stuff. You can only get Bud Light in bars here. But on the street, you
can get everything you want. But you know, it's like we may have to stop, you know, like halfway through this. If we find like a good candidate place to actually just crash into.
Otherwise, just put up with us
No,
walking in Selma.
I think that it's a bit more of an improv thing, you know, is that we have to walk like so often like around these streets that I feel like it's a bit more of a love letter to the city.
I mean, in fairness, this could be 10 years ago, walking back, dropping me off with the minute.
Yep.
You're just walking up that hill, you love to walk up.
Yep. I mean, there used to be like a gas station here with a Burger King, I think.
And a car wash.
Yep.
Well,
not anymore. Now there is a fancy complex apartment here. But in any case, we're just celebrating this pass of time, what happened was.
So, this was your pick, and you really surprised me. It's not that I'm unwilling to watch anything you pick, but I never thought you'd pick a current Christopher Nolan film. You chose 2023's Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy and every other actor in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that like, the cast is a bit of a, oh my god, that person is also here, it's amazing. Rami Malek is here, the Florence Pugh is here, what is going on? It's like everyone is here. So, yeah, I think this one, but I was a bit surprised that you were surprised about this, because I already told you that I watched every single Christopher Nolan movie. For a while, I thought that he was like the big promise of Hollywood. And then I realized that it was like the biggest smoke and mirrors from Hollywood.
Yes, but you've known about the smoke and mirrors for like 10 years now, so when you picked the smoke and mirrors for us to watch, I was like, what?
Well, the thing is like this was released at the same time as Barbie, and for, you know, the audience.
How is that relevant?
It's relevant because you suggested that we should watch Barbie, and I'm not opposed. I'm looking forward to watch it because it's Greta Gerwig, and I love her, but at the same time, Oppenheimer was released, and there were like the Spanish elections, and when you were telling me we should watch Barbie, I told you like today may be a pretty dark day in Spain. So if something goes one way or another, we may have to watch Oppenheimer, watching like a darker thing.
And what happened with the Spanish elections?
We still don't know. Nothing has
know.
happened. It's like it's completely undecided. So from that perspective, like we're watching Oppenheimer, we will watch probably Barbie too.
Alright, and you know that I love Greta Gerwig because I sat down with her and Noah Baumbach, the poet here in San Francisco, to discuss one of their films. So I
Which one?
Francis Ha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so in any case, we're not talking about Barbie or, you know, like why we should watch Barbie. But for this, I actually have been traveling a lot like recently, and I went to watch this in IMAX, but it was in a very like time constrained perspective.
And that's Washington.
Yeah, Washington State. Yeah.
So you picked it just because you feel pressure into watching everything he makes, even though...
No. It's the kind of thing that I say I don't feel pressure, but at the same time, there is like a part of me that it has like a sliver of hope that I want to be mind blown about like what he does.
So it's interesting because I've had the opportunity to tell many people in the last 2 days
that you're
sorry
going
I
to
missed
watch.
your 9 calls. I was in Oppenheimer for most of yesterday. And they're like, what, you don't want to see it? And my response was, I don't think Christopher Nolan is necessarily bad. In fact, most of the time it's not bad.
Yep.
I know what a Christopher Nolan film is, and I don't know how many more of them I need in my life. So that was my only reluctance.
To go watch it.
Yeah, I was like, it's going to be
and it's 3 hours.
There's going to be an unnecessary third act where we thought the movie was ending.
But it's not. There's a twist. Yeah.
So that was my only.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fair. Like for me, it was a bit more like challenging this because it's like I just woke up at 2:30 local time for just taking a flight to come here. I've been like a very stressful day of work, but I still want to see this. So I'm super curious to hear about like how you feel about this movie.
I'm eager to tell you how I felt about it.
Okay, so as this was my pick, I guess that you have to summarize it.
I honest to God don't know how to summarize this. One, it's still in theaters, so
Yeah, we don't have to spoil it. But it's a biopic at the same time. Because you can go to the Wikipedia of Oppenheimer.
Which is literally open on my phone. It's like 17 paragraphs long.
No, not the Oppenheimer the movie. Oppenheimer the
Oh,
character. Yeah.
Okay, so the film follows J. Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan's personal fluffer on the set.
The person in Fluffer that he never got like a starring role. He was always like a secondary.
That's true. Yeah. So this is his first Christopher Nolan starring role. So we meet Oppenheimer when he's 22. He's studying at Cambridge.
Yeah.
He's being emotionally abused by his mentor. He tries to kill him by giving him a poison apple. Later, he decides, I'm going to kill that guy. So he goes and gets the poison apple.
Yeah.
But there's kind of some academic politics that have him leaving Cambridge, and he goes to Germany.
For a tiny bit.
And he finishes his PhD there, and in that time he meets all of the leading minds of quantum physics at that time. And now you're going to have to help me. Somehow he gets involved with the Manhattan Project. Robert Downey Jr. is like, hey, we really need this guy to bring him to America to fill out a theoretical division of quantum physics.
I think it's a bit after that because he goes like to Berkeley first.
And Caltech.
And Caltech, you know, and it's like, and then there is like the connection with Robert Downey Jr. about like just driving like the whole program there. So there are like many. The thing is like it's not completely narrated in a linear way. You know, that we have like three different aspects about like his beginnings, and then when he's being interrogated, because that's how the movie starts. It's about like he's being interrogated by some commission, just under the suspicion that he was a spy.
Yeah, and this is part of my hesitation about trying to give a synopsis because, as you say, they play with structure. A lot of this is like remembering through interrogation and like congressional panels, not congressional. So the way they reveal information is fairly complex.
Yep.
But anyway, we see Oppenheimer get included in the Manhattan Project. He actually leads it.
Yep.
We see his personal relationships with the woman he married, which is played by
Emily Blunt. But also her lover.
He has a mistress played by Florence Pugh.
I love her. I love her.
There's a lot of a ton of politics in relation to what was happening in America at the time. Obviously, World War II. Fascism, the Communist Party of America.
What is like? It's even before the. They start like a bit before the World War II. There is like this fear. Started like this fear about like communism. You know, it's like before war. It's like communism was not the worst. It was a bit more of a thought. You know, a school of thoughts. But it's like then it turned into like the biggest evil that you could do, and how he like socialized. I think that it was like what, like his brother was married, or he was like part of the Communist Party, and then he got out of it, and that's how he actually, before his brother gets out, how he meets with Florence Pugh, and how they have like an affair there, and they connect like pretty deeply, but then he's a bit like pushed away about like how she is and how he needs like Emily Blunt that is more conventional.
Yeah, so those kind of interpersonal, sexual / romantic relationships are a very interesting aspect of the film.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we're seeing how Oppenheimer, who is Jewish, who's a contemporary of Einstein, who's also Jewish, and how they're panicking over what the Nazis are doing to Jews in Europe, and how they have to compete with the Nazis in terms of their nuclear technology. Of course, we see the events of World War II. Germany surrenders. America drops the bomb. Oppenheimer is haunted by all the Japanese deaths, but also conflicted
Yeah.
how to save your life. And then ultimately, all of his friends, quote-unquote allies, they take place behind the back.
Oppenheimer.
The final sequence, where the guy feels like he's been super betrayed because Oppenheimer, he believes Oppenheimer was having a discussion. He disregarded his concern about exporting toxic drugs for the radioactive isotopes.
Yeah.
No?
I don't remember. It's 3 hours. So
It's a lot.
Yeah. Then like a couple of like thinking about like what's amazing. Then there was a bit more like okay, let's go. So I think it's like that art, you know. What I would say is that that's probably like the high level perspective of the character because like I love like this scientific approach to the science but I also I had to come to terms with what is the destructive what we are creating, what is like the implications of what we're doing, and also like the idea of not only about like the implications of what we're doing right now, but what can trigger around the world. How can I actually just like change the reality? I have to say that a part of me just feels like it has a bit more of, in hindsight, it's like I don't know if really like all of these characters were thinking at that point. It's like, are we going to be like just starting like a nuclear age with what we're doing? Or if it was a bit more, it's like probably they were not thinking about this.
I don't know. People that smart, they had to see it. They had to be like, okay, every war's going to be nuclear.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure, man. I mean, I'm not sure. It's like when I was thinking about it, when I was like watching it, I felt like a bit torn about like, hey, this is something that now it comes completely natural. But it's like at that time, until they didn't explode, like the first warhead, it's like they only had like theoretical ideas about like, what was going to happen.
You know, when I was a little kid, and I know it was little because it was before my family was broken, my dad used to tell me about the Manhattan Project. He didn't use the term, but he was like, you know, these geniuses knew that they could explode this nuclear bomb, but they had no idea if the chain reaction would stop.
And it would destroy the world.
And I was always haunted by this as a child.
Yep.
And then as an adult, I was like, my dad lied. That wasn't true.
But
It was true.
Yeah.
It was true.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, there was the fear about like if you were to stop, it's like it will actually just like explode the whole planet.
And the atmosphere is ignited. And
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
So my synopsis was not.
I think that is fine. It's 3 hours. Yeah.
Overall, I liked it. I mean, it's exactly what you expect out of a Christopher Nolan film, which is moody, dark, atmospheric, foreboding, existential angst.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like we leveled up in terms of the sophistication
Yeah.
of this direction.
Yeah.
We had some very cool moments, like the scene was where they were celebrating the
Oh yeah, that's
successful-
that's like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
I love that scene. It's like, it was like
Everything
just
goes
perfectly.
silent.
Yep. Yeah.
You can't hear the cheers, and all you hear is the cries of the people who died.
Yep. And how he actually like step into a corpse,
Yeah.
into the carcass, and how like the explosion like just like removes like the skin of people.
That's right, that woman's face
Yeah.
starts to come off.
And then how they go like into a craze when he says that like, "We got it for Germany," you know, and then he sees like just people making out in a very like frenzy kind of way. I feel like this is perfect. It actually encapsulates like what you're trying to say. It's like a perfect it's like a Bellatar level kind of payoff. Okay.
I see what you're saying.
You haven't suffered enough, that's true.
I felt like this is a guy who is a mainstream hero of like pulp cinema. Like when Christopher Nolan releases a film, people are like, everyone needs to see it. But I feel like he is the rare exception that's continued to hone his skills.
Yeah.
And he continues to be extremely mainstream, very appealing to the masses. saw the first. But while maintaining the intelligence of the production, actors, stories, performances,
I would say that this is way more solid than other movies that he has. I would say that the mainstream, probably that Dunkirk and they appeal in a different way than Memento, Prestige, Tenet, and other things. Is I feel like these are more palatable movies, but it's still like a 3-hour-long movie. Long, beyond belief. And it's the part of the industry is like, I'm pretty sure that you can cut like a third of this. You can cut what happened, and you're gonna still say more of the
Not that they weren't fantastic, but how relevant is this to the story?
Well, the thing is that they try to just like depict Oppenheimer as a character with many facets. Things are more like the personal aspect and also like the moral aspect of what it is scientific research. So you have like very solid scientific explanations of the stuff that they're doing, and it's like fairly fast-paced, but also they try to do it in a bit more universal kind of manner. And then you also have like the question mark around the movie: like, was he a spy? Was he actually leaking stuff? You don't know because they want to send you why these dudes, and then they are what did you want to do, And I think that is that you need like all of those aspects like coming together for just like playing that mystery.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because we just watched the film, as we said, at the time. There were a lot of great ideas, but they didn't necessarily
Yeah.
I feel like I could say the same about Oppenheimer in a way. I feel like there was just so much in this film. Yet, because you did everything now, or his editors didn't know what to cut. There's just no way to go short of that 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's necessarily a good thing, even though with Oppenheimer, it's due.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think that is that, you could have make it shorter, but I understand why it was this long. I understand it is that if you want to keep it shorter, you will need to probably actually refocus the movie in a different way.
But you feel a little bit like Christopher Nolan trying to resurrect the style of like Ben-Hur, when what people want now is a quick 90 minutes and a story that's on the scale that you can
So like
digest.
trolling the audience?
No, I'm just saying, do you think there's a place for Oppenheimer in pop culture and cinema, like we agree to that, but do you think that he is just refusing to do that? And he's going to insist on, no, we're doing 3-hour action films forever. Like once you think Inception should have been that just 2 hours, we're going to go full 60 minutes.
Look, you know what I thought of when I was watching this? I thought of Paul Thomas Anderson on Magnolia.
Exactly what I thought about. When I saw the runtime,
You said that is like, look, this guy could have made a different story, but it's like he wants to prove to the audience that he's a hero. He really wants to actually just like flex his muscle, and he wants everyone to just look at what an amazing creator he is.
I don't know that I to say that's true. If that's the case, he is very shows that this is like he is a cult director. That's like he will create excellent cult cinema, and he will never ever like something that's transcended.
I'm just trying to see because it's like I don't think that I disagree, but also at the same time, he has made like some movies that I really enjoy, and I watched like many times. And it's like I don't complain about those. The Prestige and Memento. I'm not saying that it's like I never said that it was elevated. What I'm saying is that they have done movies that I really enjoy, and I watch many times. I have never said that it's elevated, but I said that they are like movies that I can watch like multiple times.
and I don't disagree that he makes entertaining films and while somewhat smart. But he will never be someone to describe as much.
Yeah, it's not an option.
I would absolutely describe Aronofsky as natural.
I would never.
I'm sorry, but I know you think Requiem for a
It did. It fucking did.
Name one thing Christopher Nolan has ever attempted that's
Memento. That he succeeded?
Yeah. No.
That he succeeded? Yes, Memento.
Right. He did one film. He did one that was interesting. The rest are solid.
Yeah, but it's not. Okay. And Memento is not because you know like high pretensions or anything. It's like a film noir, but in a very creative, narrative way.
No. If Guy Pearce came in and made a performance of a lifetime and saved what could have been in the script.
What about like Barry and Moss? It was like heartbreaking. So I think that what about if we actually take like a stop right now?
Yeah,
Because
so
we're
then
really-
calm down about all the things that are off.
Yeah, 5 minute really, I think that it's the first time, but it's like, let's just do it. Okay? Let's take it. So, we are continuing like a recording. What are we now?
We had a little off-mic discussion about what happened in the film, and we actually agreed. So, I think we're at the point in the conversation where you can admit that Darren Aronofsky is better.
I like your trolley that time, but I also like how you were focused on just like starting with that when I was saying that it's like, where are we from the perspective, where are we physically? In which bar?
Okay. We made it to what I claim is my favorite bar in San Francisco, but I don't come here that often, but it's Edinburgh Castle. Tenderloin.
You should come here like every single weekend. I love this bar. I love like the first time that we went to the smoking area and you tried to play that piano that probably gave you syphilis for life.
Also, it's the only bar I know of in San Francisco that you can smoke inside of.
That's not completely fair because we were at a hole in the wall earlier and you can smoke physically inside of it.
No, we were outside. There was a wall.
But within premises.
Okay, I see your point.
Yeah,
Yes.
within premises.
Yes.
This is still like within premises in another room. You cannot smell the smoke.
Also, I want to call out the fact this was my favorite bar before they filmed Venom here.
That's what I was going to say. Like before, like Tom Hardy's ass was there.
We drank here long before that guy came.
Yeah. I have to say that it's like I miss that for a year they had like that sign up there, like just saying like Tom Hardy
Hardy was
says.
here?
Yeah.
Also, if you remember when we first came here together 10 years ago, they used to let people up onto that second floor, and it's been blocked off for years.
I had the feeling that I have never been up there since the first time we have like checked it out and just say like what kind of universe could this bar get filled to the point that they needed like a second floor. But I've never seen a single person up there.
I think that universe only existed in the 80s.
Probably.
But can you imagine this bar in the 80s? My God, what I would give.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like this place. And I have the feeling that it has gone like through different incarnations. I love like this Asian lady. Like, she was not the owner when we actually started coming here.
No. There was a different owner. There was a male bartender.
Yep.
Then they tried to sell it for 1.4.
I think that I was like this one.
And she's the one who bought it, I think.
No. I think that she tried to sell it. She had already got it.
Bought it?
No,
So she still owns?
No. She still owned it. They didn't sell it.
We were literally walking around San Francisco thinking, what bar can we go to that will be empty and quiet at 10 p.m. on a Friday?
What better
That's the
choice?
bar.
Yeah,
There's two
what
other
better
people
choice?
here.
But anyways, we were not talking about Edinburgh Castle. We were still talking about like what a fake Aronofsky is and how Nolan at least tries. But he doesn't try to be. That's the thing.
I'm
like,
sorry,
No,
Aronofsky tried with
no.
Mother.
Aronofsky tries to be
Nolan
out here.
phoned it in, calling Cillian Murphy and being like, I found a story from the 40s, we can tell.
No. I think that Aronofsky, every single movie that he's going to be like making, he only has like one intention in mind. That is like, how can I prove the world the amazing actor that I am? And don't tell me that he doesn't, because
I agree.
It's that he's like so enamored with himself and just like trying to just find validation in the audience that is like for him is like just about proving. Is that Nolan? I have the feeling that is like he's proving by the different things, like trying to prove like how smart he is.
You ended up seeing his pandemic release, right?
Tenet is fucking terrible.
It was bad. I didn't see it. So what did he release right before that?
Dunkirk is good. It's decent. Yeah. But also my friend Alberto, he likes Nolan too, and he's like he says that it's like Dunkirk may be Nolan's best movie because he's terrible writing female characters, and there is only like one character for 3 seconds, one female character for 3 seconds on the screen. That really has like 3 words, and that's actually just like removes like that weakness of him that he cannot write female characters. I mean, in this movie, I feel a bit torn about like Emily Blunt.
Women were fucking stupid in this film. I was offended for women.
Yeah, because it's a little bit more like a one-tone kind of thing about like, okay, Florence Pugh is just shady and weird, and Emily Blunt is over emotional. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird.
But also, I feel like they tried to blend the issues with these romantic relationships with political issues, political ideologies. Like, oh, well, she's weird, but it's because she's a communist. It's like, well, she's weird, but she's a fascist. And it's that part did feel a little weak to me.
Yeah.
Also, I felt like Emily Blunt was completely wasted. Like, I think she's very talented, and what she was asked to do in this, I was like, you had Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy in a room, and this is what you had them do?
Yeah. Well, and I also can think about like this Florence Pugh.
She's crazy talented, but what she was asked to do was even less than Emily Blunt was asked to do.
Yeah, it's a bit more like trying to be a femme fatale, but not with depth or motivation. Just like a bit of a try to be shady and mysterious, so people don't know if you're good or bad, or the MacGuffin is like we don't know exactly what is like going to come from here.
I do have to say, I think it's a deposition where Oppenheimer is being interviewed about his past, and his wife is there.
That's weird. That is why is the wife there?
The wife was there, and he admits to his affair with Florence. I don't know how to say her last name.
Pugh.
And so, what we're seeing is all of a sudden Cillian Murphy is naked, and he starts having sex with Florence in front of
Florence
Emily.
is like looking at Emily. Yeah.
In the middle of this deposition, and in that moment, I felt so exposed and so uncomfortable.
It was a bit cringe. I was expecting that it's like, okay, you're going for the raw emotion about like how Emily Blunt feels like super uncomfortable hearing this, but then after like that scene ends, is like Serial, what's his name? The main actor.
Cillian
Murphy says to Emily Blunt that is like, hey, you already knew about this. Yeah, but not publicly.
Yeah, it's very different if you're...
But it's the same words. It's the same story.
Imagine you have a partner, you have a wonderful partner who wouldn't do this, but who confesses to you, hey, I had an affair, I'm so sorry, I want to make things work with you. That's a very personal, intimate moment compared to if your partner who did that gets interviewed by Congress and is like, yes, I had an affair and I came on this man's face.
I want to think that I would have like the same information. Emily Blunt didn't say something like, hey, I didn't know all of the details. It was more like I didn't want to hear it publicly. So it was almost like just trying to make the woman look like over emotional.
Well,
and it's like,
I mean, Aaron Sorkin could have written this script, let's be honest.
Like the female characters, yeah. I agree with that.
I was like, Oppenheimer? This is Newsroom. This is Newsroom.
Well, but the thing is, like, the Newsroom was more insulting because the Newsroom is like, hey, we're going to be like just like portraying these women as the smartest people in the world, and we're going to be like just going completely insane because there is a guy that is a romantic stress.
Like,
yeah. So I think that Nolan is incapable. Aaron Sorkin is like he makes an extra effort for just like trying to depict female characters as they could potentially be smart, but they're not. Because they are lower than men. He goes an extra mile about like being misogynist.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like the script and the director have an obligation to confront that. But also, this is the government in the 40s, do you think women really had a seat at the table? No.
That's fair, but it's a bit more like how you want to depict them, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like, that's like an active choice for Nolan. It's like, I don't think that these characters were like so one-dimensional.
But if you think that his most dynamic female character ever was Ellen Page in Inception, maybe he's not great at portraying women.
No, I think that it's more like Carrie and Moss speeding on the glass. That's the most dynamic one.
You see, these are the most well-developed female characters we can point out. So
Yeah,
let's
he's
admit
terrible.
that female characters are not his strong point, but as much as I hate to admit it, the guy has style like almost no one else, and he has the ability to keep himself reined in so that he doesn't go too crazy. I mean, the guy is the master at delivering a smart, mainstream pulp film. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. He's good.
Okay.
He's like every war film that I know that's going to be good. I still don't want to see it, but then I see it and I'm like, yeah, that was a good movie. That's how I feel about Nolan.
Yeah.
This was a good movie. I didn't want to see it and I will never watch it again, but it's a good movie.
It's funny, the other day, you were like just so sorry today when you were showing me about like, there was this article about like David Lynch and film noir. And the other day, there was like that one of these things in the Google Assistant that just telling me about like, hey, let's just talk about masterpieces that you never want to see again. And that's like the feeling that I had after like just leaving Oppenheimer. Is that I didn't feel like it was a masterpiece, but I felt it's like this has been good. And actually, like the more time that it passed, when I actually just like digested like a bit more about like what it was, the better that I feel about it. I said, do I want to watch it again? No. It's like if my boyfriend were to ask me, say, do you want to watch this 3-hour movie with me? And he's like, I'm really sorry, I love you. This is not a proof that I don't love you, but I won't be sitting for 3 hours on this.
I can't wait to go through the questions because I think you just answered one, but also my answer would be yes in 5 years. I want to re-examine this and be like, was I in a bad mood? Was I just too critical of Christopher Nolan the day I saw it?
I mean, the thing is like, just please let me ask you, what do you mean by pop cinema? Because when I think about pop, I think more about like Tarantino. I think about like, hey, I'm going to be like taking this series and trying to elevate it a bit.
So, if you can take away Tarantino from the term, Pulp Fiction is literally novels that were super compelling.
Yeah.
They were like bottom of the barrel, so super entertaining, but not that smart.
Yeah, the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tarantino is not true Pulp Fiction because he pretends to be Pulp Fiction, but then he is in a different dimension. He's so good. Christopher Nolan is Pulp Fiction without transcending anything. He's just an entertaining and solid filmmaker, but there will never be anything that makes you think differently about the art form or about the political issues he wants to talk about. There's nothing, there's no depth to Christopher Nolan. What you see is what you get, and what you see is something very attractive and sexy and entertaining, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing more.
Okay, no, that's fair. I agree with that. That is like he tries to make a smart entertainment.
Yes, and he does it very well.
No. Yeah, but it's not transcending. The funny thing is, like, I don't think that Tarantino is like that straightforward in just transcending, but he does it.
I would agree. Jackie Brown, that's fucking transcendent. It's not great, but it's transcendent. Kill Bill Volume 1, transcendent.
But it's more about like just like, hey, I'm going to be like taking all of these elements that you think that they are pulpy and trashy and just bottom of the barrel, and it's like I'm going to be arranging them in a way that is that it just feels fresh. It just feels like jolting, energizing in a way that is not only about entertainment right now. It's a bit more about like they're going to be like a sticky. I'm going to be like just taking all of these pop references and going to understand what makes something engaging at a level that Nolan cannot do. Nolan feels a bit more of a like a cool art.
Exactly. Did he start out as
as an art maker?
or video.
No. We read about it when we were like just checking, following, and no, he didn't.
But yes, I feel like Nolan should have been a director of Nine Inch Nails music videos in the 90s.
But
that's him.
Yeah, but I was thinking, like, when I was saying, like, the cool arts part, I was thinking about Fincher. At the same time, is like, Fincher has, like, such a sophisticated visual language.
Yeah.
And he understands, like, so good about, like, what was, like, the visual language of the 90s and the 2000s, that it was, like, a step beyond that. It's what I was telling you about, like, Fight Club. It's like, no one summarized the 90s in that way. No one.
And maybe in 50 years, the discussion about Christopher Nolan's films will be like, people like this as like a mainstream thing, but they don't understand how sophisticated he was, whereas we can talk about Fincher's visual style, his editing, the way he does frames. We could dissect it for hours.
Yeah.
I don't see that in Christopher Nolan films now.
I think that he tried with Oppenheimer a tiny bit, like how he was framing.
There were some like absurdly beautiful shots. Absurdly beautiful. The same as in Perfect Sense, where it's like, this feels a little bit out of place because it's so gorgeous.
Because it's a bit more like fabricated. It doesn't feel, and like with Perfect Sense, I was fine with it because it's like we know that we are seeing something fake. You are like going for this like heavy-handed style, so that when you are doing like in a scene where they're like laying in bed, it's like I'm fine with digesting this as a beautiful frame. That is like it was like the kind of stuff that is like I can print this and I will have it on the wall. It's gorgeous. With Oppenheimer, there are a couple of scenes that I feel is like, hey, this is gorgeous, but it doesn't go like that far. I think that is like from a visual perspective, a cinematography perspective, that I see when they're with the celebration, it's like I think that is amazing, way better than Perfect Sense, but Perfect Sense overall was like visually more appealing than Oppenheimer. Yeah, I watched it in IMAX.
I agree, but I would say this is, for me, the most visually appealing Christopher Nolan film. I feel like what I was seeing on screen was...
More than Inception?
It's not that what we saw in Inception wasn't beautiful, but it was focused on special effects, those crazy, like, world-bending things. Here, it took those special effects to I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to show you a metaphor place, and I found it way more powerful.
For me, it was a bit more of a... It made me think of that episode that you really like in Twin Peaks, on the third season, like with those explosions, and like that sequence of 20 minutes that is gorgeous, There's like those moments where like the main character goes like just into thought, and you have like these explosions like happening in there that is like, cool, yeah, we know it. It's about like the atomic bomb, and it's impressive that they don't show like the atomic bomb until the end, like the explosion itself. Like how powerful that moment is. It almost feels like there is like a passive build-up to this moment. That is that they don't show it on the screen, but you see like the atoms and like the reaction that is at the end it plays out on the screen.
But you see, the first thought that comes to mind is that David Lynch, who's not subtle, he managed to make the explosion of the atomic bomb a subtle metaphor about the birth of evil. Yep. We agree with what that means.
Yep.
That is so far beyond anything Christopher Nolan could ever do. He's just like, there was a guy named Oppenheimer, and he made a bomb, and then there were government hearings, and he married a woman, and I'm going to show this in a very moody way. You see?
Okay. Look, if we actually go over this, it's like, I think that Nolan is more limited. I agree with you. He's a bit more of a bold, mainstream author. That is that you can enjoy more or less, you can find it entertaining. For me, it's like he tends to do sci-fi that is enjoyable. I will watch it. It's like I don't think that he's like reinventing the wheel. I think that David Lynch is like probably one of the best American directors ever. It's like they're like walls of difference, and Aronofsky is a hack. He's not even on the picture. I'm sorry, because he's not even entertaining. Okay, I want to just leave this very clear.
That's fine. That's fine.
Should we go into the questions?
Let's do the questions. Yes. Jose, this was your pick, but we're going to ask you: will you watch this again?
But if it was my pick, shouldn't you be answering first?
Yeah, but I'm controlling questions. Okay, I'll ask myself. Blake, would you watch this again? Honestly, weirdly, the answer is yes. I mean, I don't think this is a perfect film, or like, yes, I will spend more time with this film at some point in the future, probably 5 years from now.
You convince me I'm going to say yes from the perspective it's like a very long horizon. Like 5 years from now, sure. Who knows if we will even be alive. So, yeah. Let's go with
but I
yes.
just need one more chance to be like, am I dismissing this because I'm anti-Nolan? Is this a solid film?
This is a solid film.
It is 100%
Yeah.
a solid film, but do I dismiss it more than I should because it's like, oh, another Batman movie, but it's Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer?
So, I think that for me, what I would like to see like 5 years from now is like how I feel about like some of the characters. You know, like the female characters, I felt like, oh, dude. But I had the feeling that it's like I was already predisposed to that because I know that Nolan usually fucking sucks at writing female characters. So maybe they were not as bad, but right now it's like I was already prepared for hating them.
And also, historically, women did not have a seat at this table, and so it's kind of historically accurate.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Would you recommend this film?
These are super tricky.
Do you want me to answer?
No, I would say yes. I would recommend it. Because from the perspective, like for example, if my friend Alberto, that he likes like Nolan movies, I think that tomorrow I will ask him, like, did you watch Oppenheimer? And he's going to ask me, like, no, should I? And I'll be like, yes, you should. It's not like the average Nolan movie, but I think that it's a good movie.
So the only time you would recommend it is if someone says, should I watch this movie? And you say yes.
No. It's like I actually reach out other people that I know that they like Roma, and so I really like Nolan in the past. And just like I recommend it. If you like sci-fi, I think that this like just it's not sci-fi, it's science. It's like how do you say like the
Historical biographies.
yeah, but it's like the HBO show Chernobyl. It's the same thing. It's like they don't go like so deep into the science aspects, but I feel it's like this feels accurate. It doesn't feel like too far-fetched. I don't like that. Once again, what is the name of the main actor?
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy. Sometimes it almost feels like an spectator of his own movie.
Isn't Cillian the name of a character from Dragon Ball Z? He's red.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's in English. Yeah. Sorry. So, what about you?
Would I recommend this? Absolutely not. There is not one single situation in the entire world where I can imagine myself being like, oh, you need to check out Oppenheimer. It's not that I think this is a bad film. I just think, for me personally, as a consumer of movies, this doesn't stand out in any way, not in the slightest.
Wow. Okay. That's unexpected, but sure.
Will you remember this?
I think that in general senses, about like there was a guy, he was a scientist, he made an atomic bomb, and then he was like the country that he created the bomb for, like they didn't trust. They were thinking that he was a spy. Yes, I think that I will remember it.
So my answer initially was no, because I was trying to think, will I remember the specifics? I will not.
Wait.
Everything you described, I will remember. This guy helped build the bomb. They dropped on Japan.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, I'll remember this as well.
I mean, to be completely fair, it's like that's like the crux of this story. Everything else is a bit of you had to fill 3 hours.
But that's honestly what I didn't understand about the film. I was like, wait, are we trying to go through an exact historical examination of what happened and all the hearings that made him lose his credibility and when Truman decided to betray him? Or are we just talking generally about a guy who felt guilty about killing 80,000 people?
Everything.
But in the same way The Perfect Sentence didn't know what it was, this film didn't know what it was.
I agree with that. It's like he's trying to be everything. He's trying to be a bit more like the character, everything. It's not about like the atomic bomb or like the theories. It's like character, everything.
It's funny because I'm like, a good editor should have been involved, but then I was like, if an editor got a hold of Magnolia, I would hate it. That needed to be all 3 hours and 2 minutes needed to be there. All right.
Okay, let's move on.
Next
Let's move
question.
on.
Is there anything artistic about this?
Yes.
Yeah, my answer is yes, and to be honest,
That scene on the celebration, I was speechless. I was like, holy shit, this was amazing.
and while I agree Memento is incredibly artistic, I do think this film is the most artistic thing I've seen from Christopher Nolan. I think it was remarkably beautiful in what it showed visually.
Yeah.
Is this a timeless piece?
I mean, the obvious answer is yes, because it's a biopic from a character from the 40s. But there is a part of me that feels weird about saying yes. I think that there is like some kind of stylistic choices that they are like super associated with right now.
I can see that. I was going to say that it feels timeless, like There Will Be Blood feels timeless, because it is a period piece, but also it was a period piece in the style of the 2000s.
Yeah.
And I do feel like this is a period piece in the style of the 2020s.
Yeah.
So my answer is yes, it's timeless, but
Yeah.
if it doesn't end up being timeless, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, no, we just do, you know, it's weird because we were talking about Perfect Sense by the previous time. Like, it is more timeless, not only about like because it was more than 10 years, but it was like making an effort for just being about the feelings. And here I had the feel that he's making an effort about like how to narrate a story, how to make it look interesting by nowadays standards. And that's like the part that you were bringing up about like just being a pop director is about like just caring about like how it's presented. It's a bit more about like the form more than the substance per se.
Yeah, I can see that. Would you turn this into a TV show?
No. I mentioned earlier like Chernobyl, and I think that it would be a format that it could work for this. But honestly, after 3 hours, I don't think how this can be palatable as something any longer.
Okay, weirdly, my answer to this is yes. And the reason is because I've never seen Fargo, the TV show. You've recommended it many times. But I'm like, wait, could this be turned into a Fargo sort of television show where it's like 12 hours of diving into these characters' lives? I think maybe yes.
You have to watch Fargo.
One day.
One day, but they can take multiple days.
Alright, my answer is yes, yours is no. Could this have been a short?
Well, I don't know if like this. I would say no. No, from the perspective of what he's trying to do is that he's not so focused on the creation of the bomb, like or the doubts about him, or you know, like the tension about like the moral consequences. It's about everything. So it's like if you want to keep being about everything, this cannot be a short.
This is a difficult question because could this actual story have been 45 minutes? Yes. Christopher Nolan likes to tie his name so deeply into the story that could this have been a Christopher Nolan story about Oppenheimer? No. There would never be a Christopher Nolan story shorter than 3 hours. So I don't know. Yeah, they could have told this in 45 minutes, but it wouldn't have been the same movie at all. So I guess my answer is no.
Okay. I mean, for me, that would be a different movie.
Do you think this movie could have been better?
Yes.
Do you have an idea?
No. That's the thing. That I have the feeling that no. I have one thing, and I was telling you this before we started recording, but there were a couple of times that I had to put all of my focus to trying to understand what the heck they were saying.
But that's a language barrier, I think, an accent barrier.
No, it's not. It's actually like just Nolan made a conscious decision that he was not going to be like just dubbing like any of the scenes, you know, that in cinema usually it's like on the scene. It's like it actually like there are like many scenes that is like if I could barely understand what they were saying, I wouldn't be like re-recording this. And that's like super bizarre to me.
That question is really interesting because I don't think this was a perfect film at all, but I can't point to one thing that I'm like, they could have improved this besides an editor.
But even with an editor, as we were saying earlier, it's like they could have edited this, but I had the feeling that it's like it would have been a different movie.
Yeah, it would have been completely different. So
Yeah, that's the same thing. It's like, could this have been a short? It's like, you could have made a short about Oppenheimer, but it would have been a different story than this. Because it tries to be about everything about Oppenheimer, all of the different facets. I don't think that you can compress all of that into a short. And in this case, it's like the script, the same way that in other movies I go like, hey, the script is the terrible part, it's like here is, I'm not sure, but there is something that could have been like just be done different for just elevating. And I think that is like, Nolan doesn't know how to elevate his cinema, but I don't know who could have elevated this.
And I guess now that I think about it harder, I honestly would have preferred he get rid of Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh's characters completely, because this should have been like a political historical biopic or a story about him personally.
But the thing is, like, you cannot really remove them because the way why, or the reason why they were like suspecting him, it was because of his affair with a communist.
You're right. I just think there's too much they tried to cram in this. So what could they have done better? Pulled out a few elements of the story. I don't know which ones.
Yeah.
The women seem particularly weak, so just cut them.
It's an Nolan movie, it's expected, so...
Alright, so we answered all the questions. We have to score this. This was your pick, which means I have to score first. Which makes me hate you even more than when you picked Oppenheimer.
I just pick Oppenheimer.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't want to score it first.
You have to.
I'm going to give this a 7.5 because I think it's a good film. It's a good film without being anything better than good.
It's funny because I've been like the whole time like going into a 7.5 or 8. I'm going to go with a 7.75. The reason why I do that, I found it pretty late when I was like walking out of the cinema, is that there was like some people like in front of me and they were saying, oh, what score would you give it? And so I was saying like, well, a 7.5. At that point when I was walking out of the cinema, I was like, this is a 6, you know? And then I kept thinking, I kept connecting like the dots and I kept feeling that it's like, there is a lot going in this movie, but I think that it was not done poorly. It's like if I was falling asleep, you know, as I was telling you, it's like this month has been insane, and it was like just super exhausted. But it's like, I just still felt engaged enough for just like wanting to pay like attention to this. I wanted to put like focus into it, and it's a 3 hours movie. It's not a 3 hours Tarantino movie, to be fair, but it's a 3 hours engaging movie that I can see that there is like some cinema in it.
Honest to God, real question. Which films felt longest to shortest? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Magnolia, Oppenheimer.
Longest, shortest?
Which felt the longest to the shortest?
The longest to the shortest. The longest Oppenheimer. Then
Oppenheimer
Magnolia.
by far felt the longest.
And then Magnolia, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because they are in... The thing is, like, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that they don't have like the kind of how do you say, like richness that other Tarantino movie has, but it has like 3 or 4 scenes that when they're on the screen, it's amazing. It's like that scene when they go like to the compound, it's 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and it feels like 5.
Which scene?
When Brad Pitt.
Oh, when they go to the Manson family. Yeah. That was 30 minutes.
It was 30 minutes, dude. It's like super long. She actually just picks out like the girl from the leftovers, and they go into the compound until he actually drives away. It's 30 minutes easily.
So for me, Magnolia and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are kind of the same, but I love Magnolia. All joking aside,
we should watch it. Honestly,
really
I always
should.
give you like some shit about it, but it's like I'm
and it's
curious
been
to watch
years since
it
I've
again.
seen it, but waiting 2.5 hours for Julianne Moore to tell someone to suck her dick, I'm like, no, this is the
It has
fastest
to be
film
like
I've
the
ever
first
watched.
scene.
But I'm glad that we feel the same way, that something about Oppenheimer feels a little bit like work. It's not that it's not enjoyable, it's not that it's not entertaining, but the film demands a little bit more of you than something like
Well, more than it gives back, you know.
Yeah.
That's the reason what I was saying about Bellatar. It's like it felt like an effort, and then you get to the celebration scene, and like Pony was like, "Oh my god!" Like everything just clicked together. It's like I see what you're trying to do. Is like now this character makes sense, and at the end, it's like it's a biopic from the perspective of it's not about like narrating a story. It's about like just like a character study. It's like that point is when I felt like the character came together, and it came together in a very visually impactful way.
Interesting. I find this conversation super compelling because it's very similar to Perfect Sense, where we have different opinions on the film, but ultimately we come to the same conclusion and agreement.
I had the feeling that a part of it, and it doesn't make sense because like it's almost like just cheering for Nolan as the underdog, and he's not an underdog. Let's just be honest. It's like he's like a super popular director that is like just super. Come on, what director could make a 3-hour movie, a biopic 3-hour movie that he just made like what $600 million?
Who just made the Queen biopic?
The what?
The Queen biopic?
Which Queen?
Rami Malek?
Oh, Queen. Yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, I don't know who the director is.
Yeah, no, he's in a rarefied group. I mean,
Yeah.
he is like I said, the pulp creator. He's like the person who can convince people this was smart and entertaining.
But pulp usually doesn't make you feel smart. That you know that you're consuming garbage.
Did you ever see the French film Tell No One? It's based on a novel written by a guy named Harlan Coben. He writes pulp novels, which they're mysteries. So he had a series on HBO where the guy who was Dexter, they made the series out of it, and it's based on this book. Yes, thank you. But he is a fantastic writer, but he's reduced to being a pulp writer because it's so entertaining. And I agree that just because you're pulpy doesn't mean you're bad or good. But there is this kind of idea that if you're pulp, you're not good. That's not true. You can be intelligent pulp, and that's what Christopher Nolan is.
Oh, wait a second. You were saying like it doesn't mean that you're good or bad, but now you're saying that if you are smart or not. I have the feeling that they're like two different things. It's that you can be good and not smart.
Yeah, I probably didn't express what I wanted to very well. What I meant to say is just because you're pulp or entertaining, it has nothing to do with you're good or bad, or worth watching or not watching. It means you're entertaining. It means you can be very intelligent and worthy.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying or no?
I think that we're like getting into a bit of nuance that I don't think that we're going to be like getting right, and it's not worth it.
End of story. This is a good, smart movie that has limits. That's it.
Yeah. And the limits comes from his director.
And yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that he wrote the script.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because he likes to work in the streets. Alright, so do we have anything else to say about Oppenheimer after almost an hour?
No, I mean, I don't regret watching it. I do feel like I did know what this film was going to be. It was exactly what I thought it would be. I didn't need to see it, but it's not bad that I saw it. So
yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. It's like a more sense like in some years. Probably I would watch it again. You know, if it was like an experience, it was like an interesting experience. When we're talking about like Perfect Sense and says that what else is on the cinema that it would be interesting, is that I feel like this is interesting. It's hard to recommend, but it's that I still feel impressed that was it Universal or who put the money for this?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, but whatever studio put the money for this is like bravo. It's like it's bold to put like this amount of money and doing like this kind of release of a biopic.
And regardless about how you feel about Nolan, I want to see this sort of Nolan rather than Tenet Nolan. So, more of these films, please.
I don't know, man. I mean, Inception almost worked, and it was like garbage.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, compared to Inception and Tenet, I would watch Oppenheimer again before I ever watched Inception or Tenet.
I wish that I could watch The Prestige.
Was that a Sundance film?
A what?
A Sundance film?
I don't know. You tell me. You are like the Sanders expert.
But I think it came out the same time as that Edward Norton film.
Yeah, The Illusionist. Yeah.
All right.
I love both of those. So, talking about illusions, what are we watching next?
Next, I would like you to go back to current releases, and I would like you to watch Barbie, and tell me what you think about Greta Gerwig and Barbie.
So, Greta Gerwig's third movie. Time flies.
Third movie as a director.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yep.
All right, and now I can finally talk to every gay person in San Francisco
That
who asks
you
me,
did watch.
"Oh, you like movies? What did you think about Barbie?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I've been watching Oppenheimer for like 5 days."
To be fair, is that you're asking for it because you're wearing pink today.
One time, in 11 years of friendship, I'm wearing pink one time.
And you chose today. Okay. Well, thank you so much to everyone that has put like with 1 hour of podcast and anything else.
This is 1/3 the length of the movie. Wash your hands.
Okay, bye.